Hello guys, Roman here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about one of the experiments I did last time about Read Aloud. Last week, I did one experiment with the speaking section of the mock test to find out how we can manipulate different aspects of the test to get our desired score. My main aim was to see what happens if we are not able to do certain things which many of us struggle to do. So I started with the repeat sentence experiment where I showed you in the earlier video that even if you can't repeat the whole sentence, as long as your presentation is good enough, you can expect to get good score in both the speaking as well as listening. Now, in the same experiment, I had also tested a few things in Read Aloud, and that's what I'm going to explain now. So what I did in the mock test was, when I was doing Read Aloud, I skipped a few words which I thought would be difficult for some of the beginners to pronounce. Because one of the biggest concerns of many students is, what happens if I can't pronounce a word? Should I skip it or should I try to say it? Now, as much as possible, try to say it, because at least you have a chance that you may pronounce it in the right way and get points for it. But if doing so lowers your fluency or makes you hesitate, because of which you lose your clarity, or if you think that your pronunciation might get compromised, in such cases, it's always a better idea to skip the word. But the question is, how many words can we skip in one set? In order to find out answer to all of these questions, first, let's look at the experiment I did, which I had recorded. And once you finish watching the experiment, I'll explain answers to all of these questions. Taking soundings in the deep ocean was and long remained a laborious and time-consuming task, and knowledge of the undersea lagged considerably behind with the landscape of the near side of the moon. Over the years, methods were improved. The principle of cooperation is one of the things that sets conversation apart from similar activities such as lectures, debates, arguments, and meetings. Other qualities which help to define conversation include the equal distribution of speaker rights, mutual respect among speakers, and informality, and a non-business-like environment. The American executive, unlike the British, has no connection with and this lack of coordination between executive and is one of the distinctive features of American federal government. The Constitution guarded against executive control by disqualifying federal officials, whether civil or military, from membership in Congress. In the summer of 2006, Europe experienced drought on a scale. On the Rhine, Europe's busiest waterway, low waters forced ships to carry less cargo and make up for less revenue with surcharges of up to 50%. In Italy, the Agricultural Confederation announced that the grape harvest was the lowest in 2 decades. The history of life on Earth is filled with mystery, life and death struggles, and bizarre plants and animals, as amazing as any mythological creature. Studying life's history is one of the most fascinating and challenging parts of biology, and researchers go about it in several ways. Blue food is rare in nature. Food researchers say that when humans search for food, they learn to avoid toxic or spoiled objects, which are often blue, black, or purple. When food dyed blue is served to study subjects, they lose appetite. Alright, now you have watched the whole video and you have also seen how I was skipping certain words when I found it difficult to pronounce them. And you may have also noticed that in one set, I was not skipping more than 2 words. So what is the upper limit? Is it just 2 words? Is it 3 words? Actually, if you do not skip more than 5% of the total number of words, you will not have much impact on your score. I came to know about this by experimenting with this aspect many times in many other mock test experiments as well. So in your exam, if you feel like you will not be able to pronounce a specific word, it's a better idea to skip it, especially if you feel that that word may lower your fluency, might make you nervous, or may impact your overall performance. In Read Aloud, it's more important to focus on your presentation, which means you have to concentrate on how you sound And there are two things to think about here. First is, do you sound continuous? And what that means is, are there interruptions in your presentation or you're speaking naturally? Now remember, this does not mean that you have to speak continuously without any gap in between your words or ideas. Because in real world, when we speak, we often speak a bunch of words, a group of words at one time, especially a group of related words. And that's what you should try to do in your exam. Try to break your sentence into a group of meaningful words and try to say one group at a time with small micro pauses between the groups. Then after that, you can take pauses in commas and full stop and so on. Remember, not pausing at all might make it quite difficult for the computer to understand your voice. Many students feel that if they take pauses, they will lose a score in fluency. The reason people lose in fluency is not because of these natural pauses, but because of longer than natural pauses. What that means is, if you are taking pause in full stop, but if that pause is longer than what people would naturally do, then you lose points. Another aspect that is quite important for your read aloud is your pronunciation. If you yourself feel that your pronunciation is not good enough, if you have found through different means that the computer cannot understand your pronunciation, or let's say that you have tried speech to text and it does not work in your case, then you need to work on your pronunciation. In order to work on your pronunciation, I would suggest that you start with some basic ideas about pronunciation, which starts with 46 different sounds of English. Once you have mastered those 46 sounds, then you can step up and start practicing words. And then gradually you can learn how to present the whole sentence with proper intonation and rhythm. If you simply jump onto intonation or rhythm, then it will only make it difficult for you to understand the basic concepts or to pronounce the words clearly. Remember, it's about pronunciation, not about accent. It doesn't matter if you don't sound like Americans, Australians, or British people, but you have to make sure you know the appropriate pronunciation of the words. Therefore, if before your next test, you want to find out how good is your pronunciation, is your fluency appropriate for the test, whether you are skipping too many words or just the right number of words, you can try our online platform. Because in our online platform, you can request feedback after performing a particular question. And our experts will look into your performance and will tell you exactly where you might be losing points in your actual test. You can get started by signing up for our free online class, and the details for that you can find in the description. In my next video, I will tell you what experiment I had done in Describe Image and what I had found at that time. Until that time, stay safe and see you soon.